Welcome back to MKE Gadgets. Today we're going to do a project that requires machining and some welding. I've been commissioned to build a motorcycle theme gong stand. Here's a picture of one I've done in the past. And here's a picture of one of the sides of the gong stand. It consists of an A-frame made out of steel tubing and used motorcycle parts welded to it. So we're going to start with the bottom with the wheels. The great thing about using MasterCard for wheels is they give you a drawing of the bolt hole pattern. I took that data into Fusion 360 and I put that bolt hole pattern on this piece of steel. That's 3 inches by 33 3/4. This project requires 4 casters. Those casters will be bolted down to the steel plate, which is the base of the gong stand. All the material for this project was purchased at Speedy Metal. Check out speedymetal.com. They are not a sponsor of this video, but they're my local supplier. So all these used motorcycle parts are going to be welded onto the A-frame and other parts of the gong stand. First thing we got to do is machine that plate so we can bolt the wheels down. We're starting from the bottom and working our way up. Over at the Bridgeport Mill, when I have a real long bar like this, that's 30-some inches long, I put a protractor on there and you can see we're at 0.0 degrees. That way I know we're flat. We're going to center drill and drill with a letter F drill the 4 holes for this caster. I'll flip this bar around, do the other holes, and then I have one more plate to do. These are the bottom of the 2 A-frames. Here we have square tubing, 1.25 inches, 3/16 wall, 70 inches long. This is going to be the A-frame of the gong stand. I drew a center line in crayon on the table. Then I used a combination square to get both legs equally spaced. So we're going to weld in a brake rotor and a Belleville washer. With these 2 welded, now I'll just stick the other side of the A-frame on top of it and use this setup as my layout. By setting the second A-frame on top of the first A-frame, it saves me a whole lot of time of layout. All you gotta do is clamp them so they're flush. Here I'm using Fireball Tools magnetic 1-2-3 block to hold the brake rotor and the washer in place while I weld. I have to change the setup around and the welder's tube to the top. It's 2-inch diameter, 3 inches long with a 3/8 hole. There'll be an air pipe connecting the 2 A-frames together. With the tube equally spaced between the 2 uprights, I'm going to weld, I'll flip it over, I'll weld around. Next, we have to weld this cross brace onto the legs. I measured to the end and got both the dimensions the same. Earlier I drilled these holes and then I tapped them off camera. And this is the bottom plate here. This is where the casters are going to be attached to the bottom. So this can be moved around. So I'm going to weld all the way around the tube on the plate. The trick here is to put these parts on first. They're going to slide and cover up that weld. And they also add a cool factor. With the A-frame all welded up, now it's time to weld some parts to it. Make it a little more interesting and add that cool factor. Here I have a rocker box and some rocker arms. And I put double rocker arm shafts in there. Welded something like that. Transmission main shaft. weld it in there. And then some tranny gears. Something like that to add a bridge. These big washers and clutch parts, add on this intersection here, cover up the welds. With everything being hot, I'm gonna let it cool. I'm gonna flip it over and do the other side off camera. Worked out real well because the rocker arms still rotate. That's what I was hoping for. This is the A-frame that goes on the opposite side. Here's a spring from a shock. Weld that on the cross beam. You gotta love this. 2 sprockets and a chain. That will go right over here. Dig some of the washers, put them on the opposite side. Down here I have a transmission counter shaft and a bunch of gears. Once you get going, it kind of takes shape. Besides the gears, I got a set of G-rotors here. Turnbuckle, don't know if I'm going to use it. Some more gears for cams. This is a fun part of the project, being creative and just welding the parts wherever they kind of fit. One of the first things I learned about welding is hot. So I'm gonna let this cool off. I'll flip it over off camera and weld the other side. So here's the finished gong stand. I don't have a gong. I just have a piece of cardboard cut 24 inches in diameter to represent a gong. Let's come in and take a closer look at some of the features. So when the real rope is installed, these 2 pieces will help the rope from sliding forward. You can see a main drive shaft, a rocker box with rocker shafts. On this side you see counter shafts with transmission gears, spring, cam gear, and chain. So this is MKE Gadgets. I hope you liked today's video on a motorcycle themed gong stand.